and it's major. The house we're renting right now has just 3 little bedrooms and 2 baths for all of us.
Joseph, we need to come in here.
That's why a few years ago, my parents decided we could use a lot more room. They wanted some fresh air and wide open space. My dad's work is in real estate, and he found the perfect spot for a new house.
We're so thankful to have 20 acres because our plan is in the future for each one of the children, if they desire to build a house here on the property next to ours.
Hey everyone, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It is Monday, May 2nd. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. Do any of you do anything on the weekends to unwind and disconnect? That's what I did this weekend. I actually disconnected. I spent time with my son and my husband, and I colored. Are any of you into adult coloring books? I am obsessed. It's like my one relaxation thing other than working out. And I did a lot of both this weekend. So waking up this morning, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to get back to work. I just want to color. Okay, so welcome back to my channel. Tell me if you love adult coloring books as much as I do. And let's talk about a few things. One, my video on Friday did amazing, and I had over 1,000 comments on my Sister Wives video. Thank you so much to everyone that sent a comment, left a comment, and participated in the discussion. If I did not respond to you, I apologize. There were so many people and a lot of comments I think I just missed. But for this video, I would love to hear from you as well. So I would love to get to 1,000 comments on here. And we are so close to 230,000 subscribers. I hit 129,000 this morning and I was so excited. So help us get to that goal of 230,000 by subscribing to this channel if you haven't already. All right. So this morning I was doing some thoughts about what's going to happen in this month. Well, Josh is going to be sentenced to prison. It has been 5 months since Josh's conviction, and that entire time he has been sitting behind bars, not making any money for his family. There has been a lot of property moves by Josh and Anna leading up to his arrest, as well as following for, I don't even know, I'm assuming to pay for his legal expenses. And I was looking online and I noticed that his net worth has fallen quite a bit. I actually saw this article. It says like Anna Duggar's net worth. And I was like, well, Anna Duggar's net worth isn't going to be extremely high, obviously. What was Josh Duggar's net worth, right? So I was looking online and I checked out on Celebrity Net Worth, and I noticed that his net worth is only at $50,000. To give you some understanding of where this has fallen from, prior to his conviction, his net worth had been listed at $200,000. Now, I don't know where Celebrity Net Worth draws their conclusions from to determine where the money comes from, because they've had the Duggars sitting at $3.5 million for years. So obviously take this for what it's worth, but they've sold off a lot of assets. Josh has now been out of the workforce for 5 months, and having a net worth of $50,000 at this point actually seems like too much to me. I would expect Josh's net worth to be zero. I mean, what does he own? Nothing. He doesn't own a house. He doesn't own, he has a car, I'm sure, but cars depreciate. His wife lives in a converted warehouse that is now an apartment that's on his parents' property. They weren't on the show very much, and I highly doubt that Anna, with the sporadic amount of time she was on the show, actually made a lot of money. And Jim Bob notoriously just did not pay his kids a lot, period. I mean, as referenced as Jason taking out a loan. Now, some of you did mention that the financing company that he used is actually a heavy equipment company, so you figured he was probably buying like a heavy machine for his construction company, which probably so. It's the loan part that I thought was wild. Like, don't they have the excess cash or the cash to like pay for things out of pocket? This is a family that was on television for 17 years. So you think of it this way. For 17 years, their lives were dictated by a network. They have millions of people on their followers lists on Instagram. They have had sponsored content and sponsored posts and all kinds of brand deals. They wrote books. And you would think that if you had made all of that money, you would have some reserves if you needed it for your businesses. Now, in fairness, Jim Bob does invest a lot of his money into real estate. So Jim Bob might be cash poor, might be, because I really don't know his financial situation, but rest assured he owns millions of dollars worth of real estate. So I don't think they're going to go broke anytime soon. In fact, they could sell a bunch of their property and they would be millionaires. Did you know that they own a property in Springdale that actually is like the Enterprise Cars outlet? So they don't operate the Enterprise Car outlet, but they own that building. So they own commercial property that are rented out, and there's businesses running out of these buildings. Jim Bob makes a considerable amount of money based on the rent that he charges these companies to lease his properties. So Jim Bob isn't going to go broke anytime soon, but I was shocked to see that Josh's net worth was 50. I thought Josh's would be 0. I mean, what kind of money do you think he actually has? I did notice, and I know this is old tea, he has some real estate holdings. In fact, a day before he actually filed or was arrested, they bought a piece of property that has a mobile home on it. They didn't spend a ton on it. I think it was less than $100,000. And they still own the property. The property is not in the name of Anna and Josh, but the purchase was the same day as his arrest, or it was recorded the same day as his arrest. So they had purchased this piece of property. It has a mobile home on it. I don't know what they were intending to do with it. It's in an area where there's a lot of mobile homes. And in fairness, in that area of Arkansas, it's kind of rural. And so a lot of people will have single wides or double wides on property, no shade. It was just an older property that had an older mobile home on it that didn't look like it had been the most kept up. So they sold their dream house, she did, this past fall, that he was working on rehabbing. The day of his indictment, they close on this like rundown property that has a mobile home on it. And I think now at this point, that's the only property that they own. It's tough because all of their LLCs are intertwined, and Anna recently started Home Field Properties, so I don't know, and I've been searching to see if there's any properties that she's purchased recently, and I don't see anything. So net worth at $50,000, and then another website I looked at said that Anna's net worth was $60,000. Okay, so Josh and Anna have been married, I don't know, since 2008 maybe. You've got 7 kids, you have no money, your in-laws are worth millions, but you have no money, and your husband's in prison, and he still has a net worth of $50,000. Isn't that wild to anyone? Like, do you think the average person who is in his situation, the average person, not on television, not in anything like that, like just the average Joe after 5 months in prison would have that kind of net worth? I mean, even though he's lost a massive amount of money, don't you think that's still high? I think, I still believe it's negative. But again, I don't know how they determine celebrity net worths. His net worth is surprisingly low, took a hit following his arrest. So while I was on the webs, I noticed that there was some photographs that were listed by the Alert Academy. So if you remember, last week was the family conference, and for the first time ever, the Duggars did not speak at the family conference in Big Sandy, Texas. A photo circulating the web had James and his brother Jason singing with some of the Andrade girls. So the Duggar musical was Jason and James singing, if anyone's wondering. And then I was perusing Alert Academy because you remember Jackson Duggar is at the Alert Academy right now. And I noticed that the Alert Academy had a link to their Flickr account, and they said that their whole album of the 66th unit was on this website. So I was like, all right, well, I'll go look. And I was shocked that I found some pictures of Jackson, and I was like, oh my gosh, he looks like a shell of himself. Now, listen, we've talked about the Alert Academy and why I don't agree with it and why I think it's just completely ridiculous. Some of you also have brought up that you feel like it's stolen valor, where they're dressed up like they're in the military, but they're not really in the military. So like you feel like they're imposters of like trying to be military when they're not. And I'm not former military. I obviously, if I was, might feel like you guys do. Some of you felt very offended by what you saw when you looked at the pictures for the Alert Academy. What I noticed though is that Jackson, in all of the photographs and of all of the kids, they just look miserable. Jackson himself just doesn't even look like himself. Jackson was always like the super happy kid that always seemed to be so rambunctious and full of life. You know, those early days, he and Hannah were like the littles, and they were always playing and they were always so like excited and happy. He was always the kid that had a smile on his face, and he's gonna be 18 in 21 days. So in 21 days, he will be a legal adult, and he's going to turn 18 at the Alert Academy because graduation isn't until May 26th. So I'm looking at the photos and I'm like, poor Jackson. Do you think the Duggars are ever going to learn that these types of programs simply don't work? They're not going to reform their children? Some of you have said that, oh, the Alert Academy isn't just about sending bad kids there, but the Alert Academy application literally has things on there that want to know about what you're struggling with. And everyone I've talked to that's gone there has said that a lot of the kids that are sent there because their parents want them to straighten up, whether it's they're not behaving, they're rebelling, they're listening to rock music, who knows? In the IBLP, you don't have to do a whole lot to rebel. So Jackson's there, his head has been shaved, he's looking very just not like Jackson. And it makes me just feel like sad that we're still a year from his arrest, we're 5 months from his conviction, and nothing has changed in terms of like the Duggars haven't learned a thing. When do you finally wake up? What does it take for someone to wake up to realize that they've been fooled into a belief system that isn't true, that is false doctrine, and that is just harmful? What do you think the Duggars will they ever wake up? Are they ever going to realize that what they've put into their lives has actually created such a travesty in their family? And at what point do you think the Duggars will actually take accountability and responsibility for using their platform so irresponsibly by encouraging people into this toxic belief system? You know, at some point, we can call out people who have a huge following to encourage people into a belief system that is cult-like, that takes away and strips people's human rights, and ask them, where's your accountability? They've never taken responsibility for it, and I doubt they ever will. And then seeing that they're still sending Jackson there just makes me feel ill. And then also knowing that Anna is still staying with the Duggars, fully immersed in that life, not leaving them, tells me how indoctrinated Anna is. And then you've got Josh, who's in prison, and he is a byproduct of this belief system. And the fact that they refused therapy for him, refused the right help for him. Just imagine for a second, and I can't say that this would have helped, but imagine what it would have been like had Josh actually gotten professional help. Not going to a camp where they push them to do hard labor and read the Bible. What if he would have gotten professional help from a counselor? What if he would have seen a psychiatrist to potentially address any mental health conditions? What if he would have actually learned proper coping mechanisms besides just going to the Bible? Could you imagine how different it might be today if his parents would have properly addressed it and protected their daughters and also taken care of his problem? It's just such a messed up situation. And they're continuing the pattern. They're continuing the pattern, and they're continuing the cycle with Jackson. It's really disappointing. I don't know why I always expect better. I always, even if I'm critical of the Duggars, always hope they'll wake up and realize they've been fooled, and they will say they're sorry, and they'll be like, we totally messed up. We believed the wrong guy. It was all stupid. We were all fooled, but they won't. So for now, Josh is broke and Jackson's still at the Alert Academy and the Duggars have learned nothing. Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Bye guys.